Hello and welcome to Kimboshi Radio here on the Kimboshi Sumo channel, and we are back. Podcast listeners, you will be happy to see that Phil is returning to discuss some more sumo with me, and YouTube friends, welcome. We're going to break down the Basho. We've already talked a little bit about this, but Phil, considering that we both live in the American South and are completely iced in, have you had plenty of time to just go over sumo stories over the last week?
I mean, yeah, I've been sitting at home doing nothing for 3 days.
It's the dream. The joys of living in cities that don't know what snow is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, we're going to start this off with the news. And the biggest story to me, I think, is that Sentoryu has passed away this week. So Sentoryu, his shikona is based off of St. Louis because he is from St. Louis. He is famous. He is the first mainlander, American mainlander. He actually made it all the way to Makuuchi. If you guys want, go over to Sumo Reddit and somebody over there, I'll post a picture of it here and a link in the citations document. But he is the first mainlander who made top division. Obviously, we kind of like differentiate between Hawaiians, Samoans, those islander guys, because they've had a ton more success in sumo. So he is someone from the lower 48, as we'd say in America. I guess he passed away of stomach cancer, but was very tight with Kaio, the former Kaio, now in Oyakata. And I don't know, it's a real bummer because he comes from an era that was interesting, maybe just before sumo had its moment in America, because when the Hawaiians were dominating, ESPN was playing sumo tournaments and putting money into amateur sumo. Like, we had this moment for it. So even though this is someone that people don't know, I mean, go check him out. And then Phil, I just wanted to talk in general because we, are going to talk today about Aonishiki in the interest of a Westerner or whatever. This guy's European. But what are your kind of thoughts on wanting like American Rikishi to succeed? Because Musashigawa's nephew is over there, but that's again an islander. He's a Hawaiian, which is awesome. Like I said, though, I kind of give them more of an advantage. Like, those guys just are good at sumo. So we went to like Rollertown Showdown last year, and so we've kind of been following American Amazumo. What do you want to see in amateur sumo? And what do you want to see from Americans getting over to Japan?
Well, I mean, I think we could definitely expand the U.S., like, the visibility of it, right? Like, for us, we went to that event last year, but it was like kind of hard to find, and there weren't that many people there. Like, if we could get,
yeah. Compared to like going to an event in Japan, I would agree. But the interesting thing is, it's interesting for me to hear you say that's your opinion, that there weren't very many people, which I think is valid, because compared to other amateur sumo tournaments I watch, Rollertown is enormous. I would say they probably had like 500 people there, in and out, like coming and going. But your previous point about it being in Salina, Texas, that is totally valid to me. It's the Dallas Sumo Club. It's in Dallas, but that is very much the outskirts of the metro to get up there. And so they are moving that tournament to Frisco, Texas, which is much more integrated with Dallas. But anyway, I interrupted you. I just wanted to throw those points out.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a step in the right direction. Like, sumo just isn't a big sport in the U.S. Like, you get your athletically inclined, larger athletes all go into football, That's kind of the U.S. sport.
I talked about Musashigawa's nephew. He in high school, he played football. He only switched to sumo here at the end.
Right. And it's just like, I don't know 100% what the culture is in Japan, but here, especially living in Texas, like, everyone's kid plays football, and football is life. Like, everyone thinks their kid's going to be in the NFL. Like, this is just, and it's, I don't know if you know how much about the football here in Texas. Like, the high school stadiums are like $50 million stadiums. Like, for high school football. Like, that's insane.
Yep.
If we could get even a fraction of that interested in sumo or something, it would I feel like it would bring a lot more people into the sport and a lot more interest from the US.
Yeah, and uh, like you said, yeah, and I don't know, we're never gonna compete with football, and that's fine.
Right.
Um, but uh, that's kind of like a recruiting ground, I guess, or it's the but as you talked about, the 50 million stadiums is interesting because that's the thing, right? There's no money in sumo, and to be honest, that's kind of what makes it awesome to me. Like
Sure.
things often get worse when sponsors show up. It's good to a point, right? You need that funding. But someone like Sentoryu, so he actually went over in the late 80s, but kind of peaked in the year 2000, where he had a couple of Makuuchi tournaments. In 2002, he was up there again, but a lot of time at Sekitori. Spent, I think, like 4 years or something at Sekitori, something like that, because including his Jurio tournaments. Um, and so having money is important, but he did it before the money got there, and then the Hawaiians were there, and nothing ever really got made of him because again, he's not very much top division, and you couldn't see that much of it. Um, but I'm with you. It's interesting to me that uh, American sumo has had a peak, and we're not at that currently. And it's unfortunate to see someone like Sentoryu, first of all, kind of wasn't, as far as I know, wasn't super involved anymore. Um, he was living in Tokyo, I believe, still, so not even in the States. Um, but he's someone that I feel like could have been a rallying cry to grow sumo in America. So it's very sad to see him pass away because we have him and Akebono are both gone. Konishiki is still with us, but it would be really interesting to see if those guys would champion sumo in America the same way that Baruto has gone back to Estonia, and now he's got a kid who's over at Hidenoyama Beya, an Estonian kid who, like, somewhat riding the coattails of Oyakata being willing to recruit Europeans because of Aonishiki's success and even Shishi's success. And so America not having that, I think it'd be really interesting if we could re-engage some of those Rikishi we had from that golden era. I mean, to some extent, um, yeah, because it's just sad to see some capitalization, but maybe that's just that it is the second go around for the Europeans anyway. Like they've had Naruto Oyakata there the whole time from Bulgaria, so I don't know. Um, I'm with you. Long story short, I'm babbling. I think it's sad. I think Sentoryu was an absolute unit, and I think it would have been really cool if we had even given him more of his due during his life, rather than now. But time goes on.
Yeah.
In addition to that, time goes on. Just a couple more last casual news points before we get into the real conversation. There are several new recruits joining stables that people are very excited about. One that I want to talk about, actually, Sean has been sending me Instagram clips of this guy for like a couple months. But Kanazawa Gakuin Daigaku student Yasuhiro Omori is turning pro, and he's famous. If you guys, I'll put like an image up here. He's got everyone in Japan just keeps talking about his movie star good looks, and he is completely stacked. He is going to be turning pro. Looks a little light. I don't know if he'll put a ton of weight on, but it looks like in honor of February, I guess, Valentine's Day. But Ura and Tobizaru have both given quotes where they consider themselves, or Tobizaru at least has directly said in an interview he considers himself a sex symbol. He waxes his body and stuff, and women in Japan love him, so he's not wrong. But this is another guy competing with that. And also, Ajigawa stable is getting a new guy. I'm reading off of the kanji here, so I hope I'm using the correct reading, but I don't know. But Kawazoe Fuuma, he's joining Ajigawa stable, which is interesting because this guy is sort of a top level recruit. And it's interesting for a stable as young and small as Ajigawa. Like, this is the power we see of having a top division star. I'm curious to see if Ajigawa, Aonishiki's stable, will start becoming a powerhouse here if they're pulling in recruits like this, because this is a guy who's had very high performances in the All Japan, in college championships. So really interesting. And it did kind of make me think, like, what do you think you would look for in a recruit, Phil? What is something that you would care about bringing guys in?
Ooh. Uh, let's see. I mean, you got to look for that athleticism, that like dedication to like training and everything. It's kind of a given. Um, I personally really like to see we always call them the fit fats,
Mm.
the muscle bound dudes who are just throwing these big guys around. So I
Yep.
mean, I would look for that kind of build and that kind of like training style
Yeah.
just
So
because I
don't
think it
don't let me
adds.
forget. We need to talk about Fujinokawa's performance in January later. But yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's just I feel like it's more exciting to watch than just two guys crashing into each other. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
we even see we even see some of the bigger guys in Makuchi trying to do some of those quick moves. I remember there was this one match that Takayasu was in, and we saw him like dancing around the edge of the ring
Mm.
the way
Mhm.
Tobizaru does, and like he
Mm-mm.
struggled with it because he's not built
Mhm.
that way.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like those are kind of the up and coming strategies.
Yeah, and especially because we've talked in the past, your background is in injuries and rehab, of course, and so like there's
Sure.
definitely should it's this interesting competition though. Like there should be more longevity in that. It should be healthier for your body. However, we also see the risks with guys like Enho and getting cervical spine injuries,
Hmm.
because you've got huge guys landing on you and you don't necessarily have the cushioning, I'll say, to withstand those blows.
Yeah.
But you and anyone who shares an opinion with Phil that you like the fit fats, keep an eye out for Omori. He's very tall. He has a very large frame, so I'm curious to see if he hangs weight on it. We talked about on the channel Hatsuyama, and I was very interested in his 6'5" frame, but he was only 140 kilograms. We saw that really punish him because if you're too tall and don't have the weight, guys can get up and under you and just lift you right out, which is totally what happened to Hatsuyama. But now, I would actually like to start breaking down the January Basho because Aonishiki, Phil.
Oh
At
yeah.
this point, I mean, we've got friends we watch sumo with, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, is he going to make Yokozuna now back to back Yusho?" And we're like, "No, the soft rules are you kind of want 36 over 3 and you need back-to-back wins as an Ozeki, but even beyond that, his wins are 12-win Yushos." How do you feel about Yokozuna Promotions as someone who is a devout Hoshoryu fan, Phil? And Hoshoryu has been taking slack or taking catching a lot of shade for his promotion. What do you feel someone needs to have before being promoted to a Yokozuna?
I mean, they've got their cutoffs that they like to see. I feel like at least in the case of Hoshoryu, one of the things that really like lent him an edge was his consistency. I remember because we started watching back in what 21.
Yeah, I think I tricked all of you guys to start watching in 2021 with me. I
Yep.
think that sounds about right.
Yep. That's when we started watching it, and like Hoshoryu was like getting you know 10, 11 win or bashos like every month for like 2 years straight. Like it was nuts. It was just impressive the amount of uh consistency he had. And he like
Yeah, I mean, the
eventually was
the
able
big
to.
thing was his refusal to ever have a Makekochi. Because,
Right.
he threw his 8s and 9s in there, but yeah, every year he'd have at least, 2 let's see, 2022, he has 2 11-win tournaments. 2023, he has a 10 and 11 and a no, 2 10s and 11 and a 12, which was his Yusho that got him to Ozeki. 2024, was the one that was absolutely wild. I think this is the one
Yeah.
you're referring to.
Yeah, yeah, that's
10 wins,
2024.
11 wins. Yeah, 10 in January, 11 in March, 10 in May, 9 only in July, but he actually pulled out injured and missed the last 3 days of that tournament. 8 because he was still hurt in September, and then 13 and the runner up. That was that crazy final day showdown between him and Kotozakura before
Uh-huh.
finally 12 wins in January 2025 and getting the promotion. And I've already talked here that his 2025, if you throw out the two injured tournaments, 12, 12, 13, 12, is
Yep.
very impressive. Maybe not
Yeah.
necessarily what we want from a Yokozuna, but still. Sorry, I interrupted. You go.
No, I agree. Like, we wanna see better from Hoshoryu, right? Like, he
Mm-hmm.
hasn't won a Yusho since his promotion, which
Right.
I'm a little disappointed in, but, he's been dealing with
Mm-hmm.
some injuries and,
Mm-hmm.
um but, like, that consistency, I think, is an important part, and we're seeing that from Aonishiki, right? Like, he's got
Yeah.
that consistency. He's not there yet, I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
because he hasn't had
That's the
that
thing.
amazing, you
Right, right,
know?
right. The ceiling. It was November that felt like when with Hoshoryu that I was like, oh, he can be a Yokozuna too. But that narrative kind of flips because he was not the one who got the 14 and 1. It was Kotozakura. He lost at the end there. So I'm with you that it's interesting because Aonishiki, we've talked about his superpower is his consistency.
Yeah,
7 and 0, 7 and 0, 6 and 1, 6 and 1, 6 and 1, 6 and 1, 10 and 5, 12 and 3, and then gets to Makuuchi finally. 11 and 4, 11 and 4, 11 and 4, 11 and 4, 12 and 3, you show. 12 and 3, you show.
yeah,
It's an absolute tooth grinding refusal to ever take a step backwards.
yeah.
So that's awesome. But
He's
what is
I
the
mean
ceiling?
I see him, he's a boulder rolling downhill, right? Like, he is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just gaining momentum. Like,
Yeah.
suspect that this year he's gonna have just some crazy performances,
Mhm,
and I don't know if the JSA is gonna want a 3rd Yokozuna right now, but if he reaches those numbers, right?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think they want Aonishiki to be a Yokozuna. That's a huge boon for them. Japanese fans love him. International fans love him. They're obviously making an international push. Sometimes I like to go on Google Trends and kind of look at things and like sumo as a search term actually peaked last year higher than any of the boss shows, higher than Onosato making Yokozuna, higher than Hoshoryu making Yokozuna, higher than Aonishiki winning his U show. Sumo peaked in London. The most interest globally in sumo was actually an exhibition tournament in London, and
I
they're
was gonna
doing it
say
again
they
in
had that
2026 in France. Yeah. Mhm.
they're starting
It
those
it
worldwide exhibition tournaments.
Right, right, which for better or worse, I don't know what those will do, but they're definitely creating interest. So same as we were talking about the Sentoryu one, like if the France one goes well, I don't know if the JSA tries to go to America currently, but we could see them maybe going somewhere else for another tournament. Maybe I don't know. I don't know where they would go because they definitely want to make these big swings. So like America would be the next logical step. It's just not the perfect time to bring those guys over. Maybe if it was Hawaii, but that doesn't get them what they want. Maybe Los Angeles, but then like to go with the Olympics, but I don't know that the JSA cares about that. I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to say is the international side of it is what they want. But I think you and I are of the same opinion that we love Al Nishiki, and not only does he need a U show in March, and if it's another 12-win playoff victory, which both of his have been, he has not won a U show outright in regulation yet. Kind of want to see him go 14 and 1 or 15 and 0 before he makes Yokozuna. How do you feel, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see a breakout performance like that, and I think that's what a Yokozuna needs is one of those killer tournaments to really show his
Yeah.
mettle.
I mean, Onosato had it. So
Yep.
Onosato gets Yokozuna promotion off of a 14 and 1. We talked about the Hoshoryu situation, so we're gonna set that aside because he's the one who like gets a lot of flack from people. But even Takeru Fuji had a 12 and 3 playoff victory and then a 14 and 1 loss to Hakuho, and that they considered that equivalent to a Yusho, which of course they would. But even his loss was still a 14 and 1. Kisei no Sato gets Yokozuna off of 14 and 1. Kakuryu gets Yokozuna off of two back-to-back 14 and 1s. Like, if we look back in history, this is almost always the way it goes. So, I don't know. I am not trying to rain on any parades, but I want to see Aonishiki step up yet again. and it's maybe several half steps up, right? Like,
Right.
okay, a 12-3 that you win outright as opposed to one that you needed a playoff to win, or just 13-2 and win it outright. But I'd rather see him go all the way to the top and do 14-1, which, like we talked about before, I mean, disappointing performances from both Yokozunas to get only 10 wins. We talked about the knee and the shoulder. Do you think that the pathway is open for Aonishiki yet again, or do you think that this was a one-time thing and those guys are going to be a tougher test for him next time?
I don't know. So that's the tough part of it, because I thought they were looking pretty good before the tournament started, and then they didn't have as good a performance as we would have liked to see.
Yeah,
Um, and even with both injuries, Aonishiki still only got 12 wins, right? Like,
right.
is he going to lose a little bit of momentum as they get healthier? Who knows?
I know. Yep. Um, but maybe not. Like he never seems to drop off, which is what we were talking about. So
Right.
I could see him holding serve for that reason. Um, but then also there are guys coming up behind him and challenging him. Kirishima with his 11-win Basho.
Yeah.
Kirishima beat him, and Kirishima beat him by out Aonishikiing Aonishiki. Kirishima
Uh-huh.
ultimately fell short. Maybe that's age, but how do you feel about Kirishima's performance in general, and then him about another potential stumbling block for Aonishiki's Yokozuna hopes?
Well, I love to see Kirishima do well. I want him to get back to Ozeki because he was up at Ozeki when we were starting to watch it. Like, he was an exciting up and comer. Gosh, when was he? That was what, 24, 23, 24, where he was Ozeki? Yep.
Yeah, 23 going into 2024. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And so, like, he was one of those guys who just was killing it for a while, and he's kind of dropped off these last, 6 or 8
Mhm.
Basho, but seeing him bounce back is, I don't know. It's like seeing your childhood friend do really, really, really well, a childhood hero do really good.
Sure. Yeah. Um, and yeah, it's weird. I really thought he broke my heart about 3 times in a row, and then I was like, "Okay, he'll never make Ozeki again, but he will still be good." And I still think that's what we're seeing. I still kinda do, because he keeps doing this to me, right? Like, um, he had the 12 wins and runner-up in 2024, and then a 6-9, and then he had an 11-4, but then 8-7, then an 11-4, but then 8-7, and then 6-9, and then now he has got two back-to-back 11-4s with fighting spirit prizes. So if he can get 11, maybe that's what gets him back up to Ozeki. But I think I personally am settling into a point with him similar to where I am with Takayasu. Is I'm like, hey, I'll just hang out and wait for the tournaments he's healthy and get excited about his run and see if he can do it. I don't know. Whereas, like, I don't know. In the same vein, Abi bounced back with 10 wins. Nick, I'm sure, was elated, but he kind of fell off. He was sort of a sole leader. And then Daisho, like, I'm worried about him by the same token as Kirishima is. I don't know. Did he come back too early on that calf? Is he never going to be the same? Because 8-7 here, and he never really managed to contend for a Yusho when he was getting the opportunity to be at those lower ranks because he wasn't totally healthy. How do you feel about Abi and Daisho's performances, Phil?
Well, nobody likes Avi except Nick, so he can go get out of
I
here.
like Abi, but I know exactly what you mean.
No, he's good. He's always fun to watch. You always
Yeah.
like to yell at him when he does something to knock someone out. Um,
Sports needs a villain. Yep.
yeah. Um, but like, I mean, he's got some good momentum. Yeah, he's what, M12? He got 10 out of 5s. I don't know. We'll see. He hasn't been doing great.
Yeah, like that's what's interesting is we're talking about, can Kirishima get back to Ozeki, but also now this idea of Abi and Daisho for so long were holding down Sekiwake, where they were our two like overqualified Sekiwake. Both of them like too good for Sekiwake, not good enough for Ozeki. And now I think both of them have hit an age where their bodies are saying, I'm like, oh, they might be in the Takayasu zone. We're like, hey, look, he's Komusubi. That's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Is especially when, and I hinted at this earlier, so I'll go into it now, especially when you look at like Fujinokawa's 10-5 performance. And the thing about it is,
Huh?
he plays big boy sumo. He just goes straight through guys like Aonishiki, but he's lighter and shorter, and he's just obliterating guys. How you feeling? Is Fujinokawa doing for you what no one has done for us since we lost Ishiura?
Well, yeah, kinda, yeah, because he's kind of the fit fat build, right? He's the little guy with the heavily muscled frame.
Huh?
He's not doing as much of the quick movement kind of stuff like a Tobizaru or
He's just going through guys.
he's just powering through him. He's doing I mean, he's kind of doing what Terunofuji was doing a year
Yeah.
ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just kind of overpowering people.
Wait, Teruno Fuji? You mean Takeru
Not
Fuji, right?
Takeru Fuji.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I agree though that idea. Except he seems more solid. Like Takeru Fuji and just like Hakunofuji are very like top down wrestlers to me. Whereas like Fujinokawa's base seems so solid. His driving with his legs is where his power comes from, which I think is what you want. So I don't know. How high do you think Fujinokawa can go?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I mean, he's only been in I guess
I
he's been 3, 4 tournaments in Makuuchi.
Yeah. I think I would be shocked if this man doesn't have a long run at Sekiwake in his career. I just
Yeah,
don't
I could
think he'll ever win a Yusho, so I don't think Ozeki's in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see him floating in the he could pull a Tamawashi where he, like, floats in the
Mhm.
Joijin for
Yeah.
years on end.
Yeah. I could see that too. And then just we're going long, so I'm just rushing a little bit, but I'll wait till I have Nick back on so we can talk about our Young Zeki of the Year update. But Oho, my beloved, obviously thoroughly disappointing, but shockingly, his 4 wins were over Aonishiki, Kirishima, and Kotozakura were 3 of them, so that's insane. Yoshinofuji only went 8-7, but he lost to both those Ekis, but then beat both Yokozuna, so that's insane. Hakunofuji pulled out injured, but this was his 4th straight Basho with a Kinboshi. Fuji Ryoga disappointed down in Juryo. Again, we'll talk about that later, but the one I do want to talk about, and we're going to get to more later, is Atamifuji, because 12-3 and the runner-up
Yeah.
reportedly has arthritis in his hips, which is why we're kind of seeing what looks like a regression, even though the dude's only 23. How do you feel about this Atamifuji performance, Phil, at 12-3, knowing he didn't get it done? Do you think was this his only chance to get his Yusho, like what we see with some guys, like how Abi got it done on his one chance? It appears Daisho got it done on his chance in January back in 2021, maybe something like that. How do you feel about Atamifuji here and what this means going forward versus what this means right now?
Well, I'm hoping that he's got some, he's learned some things in his time in Makuuchi, right? Like, he bounced up really quick up to the Joijin and then struggled for a tournament, dropped back down, and has been steadily climbing. So, I mean, I think he's gonna do well. I think it might be a short career if he's struggling with that arthritis, but I think he's gonna do well. I could definitely see him getting up into the Sanyaku for a couple of tournaments. Maybe even getting
Talk
an
to me.
Ozeki, right?
Well, I mean that's the hope, right? That's what Nick and I were thinking, and this is the start of that run. So from Maegashira 4, like the firm Joey Jean is M1, 2, and 3. The soft Joey Jean adds in M4 and 5. So like the big thing about him is that he spent the entire year in the Joey Jean in 2024, but went 6-9, 8-7, 7-8, 7-8, 7-8, 8-7. Like never really did anything, was just treading water. Then finally in January 2025, got slapped down with a 5-10 at Maegashira 2. But then now he's in what I would call the soft Joey Jean at M4, but 12-3 Fighting Spirit Prize, 2 Keen Boshi beating both Yokozuna. Um, this is very much the start of an Ozeki run for Atamifuji, but I'm curious to see if it actually goes anywhere because I do think he is guaranteed to make his Sanyaku debut now. I think they'll put him at Komusubi. I would be shocked if they didn't, but then I'm not sure what's going to happen. Tell me from like a rehab standpoint, like unfortunately you work with a lot of elderly folks with a lot of
Uh-huh.
hip replacements or arthritis in the hip, like what is going on with him? What can we expect to see, even if he carries so much weight, but he does tend to just go straight forward? Is that something that can be controlled? He's only 23, man, but is Atamifuji gonna fight till 32 or no? What do you know about that condition?
I mean, arthritis is a degenerative condition, so
Just gets worse.
it gets worse over time, but also he's young and fit and strong. Like that's
Mhm.
what you want. That's what you go for when you're trying to help someone with their hip arthritis is you get them stronger and they do better if they're younger and they're more active. So,
Oh, staying active and increasing the flexibility, which we know sumo
yep.
is known for. Okay.
Flexibility and strength are the things you need to like compensate for arthritis.
Okay. Cool. I hope it's good.
Oh,
I think we'll learn a lot in March. Um, if he regresses or steps forward, because a lot of guys have trouble their first ever tournament in Sanyaku. So I think we're about to learn a ton about him in March.
yeah,
This is make or
it'll be
break
good.
time for me. Yeah, agreed. But speaking of making or breaking, I want to end with a little fun. We started on a downer. We ended on a downer a little bit just there, but maybe hopeful. But I want to play a little this or that with you, Phil. I want to give you two choices. You can only pick one. They are probably tough choices. That's at least the way the game is designed. That's the way it hopefully will be. But I want you to tell me which you think is more likely or which you think has more evidence behind it. So I got a couple of these, but one of them, Kotozakura, massively disappointed me at 8-7, especially considering he had a good start this Basho. And Atamifuji has disappointed me before. This or that? Who is more likely to be an Ozeki in January of 2027, in your opinion, Phil? Kotozakura or Atamifuji?
I would probably go with the Fuji, but
Oh,
just because of momentum, like
okay.
Kotozakura's momentum has stalled out. He's been sitting there at Ozeki for more than a year now. Like
Wow.
he doesn't have the
Okay.
momentum going that direction, right?
And you think so he has continuously Kotozakura strung together 8-7s. So he's never even gone Kadoban. But like, because the thing is, with Takakeisho, Kotozakura is doing like what Takakeisho was doing at the end, but when Takakeisho finally lost it, he was gonzo, right? Like he
Yeah.
fought that one tournament in Sekiwake and couldn't get back to Ozeki and then was like, fine, I'm out of here. So like to me, the fear is if he loses Ozeki, we might be saying that we're losing Kotozakura entirely in a year. It would be your opinion. I don't know. Huh? Huh?
Yeah. I don't want to say that. I don't want to predict that, but he's I feel like he's been kind of struggling unless he does something to really change his trajectory. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, no, wow. Wow. Okay. No, I love it. I'm not gonna argue against you, but hey, get in the comments. What do you guys think on these this or that's? Because I'm not gonna argue against that. There is evidence on the other side, but yeah. How about here's another one for you. Everybody loves him. Yoshinofuji is absolutely crushing top competition, and yet 8-7. Like, what is actually going on with this guy? He's got these premier wins, but then it's not coming together. Versus Kirishima, who we just talked about, has now strung together two 11-win tournaments, but is struggling with consistency, but maybe has finally settled into his new stable. This or that? Who is more likely to be an Ozeki in January 2027 to you? Kirishima or Yoshinofuji?
Ooh, that's another tough one. Uh,
I,
I I love watching Kirishima fight. He's a one of those technical fighters who's just
uh-huh.
so good at pulling out different techniques. But I don't know, Yoshinofuji has that momentum, right? Like if we're going with the momentum argument,
But does he? Does he? If he's only grinding out Kachikoshis?
I mean, that's a good point. Like he was showing some really good momentum. Been stalled
But
out a
I
little.
think Kirishima's momentum is better with back-to-back 11s.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
But can he hold it? Would he be able to hold an Ozeki until 2027, right?
Right.
Like if
Exactly.
he's able to
Exactly.
get a win or get a 13-1, 13-2 or something here in the beginning of the year, can he hold it for 4 Basho?
Huh? I don't know. Which one you picking, Phil? Crunch time, moment of
Ugh,
truth. Who-
I'm gonna go with Kirishima just because I love to see the older folks.
I love
You
it.
know, the
Um
old folks,
oh
what is
go on.
he, 31 or something?
Yeah, like
29.
he's not that old, but in sumo he is, you know.
Right.
Yeah, he's 30, 31, something like that. Okay. Last one, Phil. And this is saying a little more. It's again an Ozeki question, but I want to know. So Hakunofuji, he started off looking very good. Again, I mentioned how he's got 4 straight Kinboshi. Like he, just like Yoshinofuji, can beat top competition, but again pulled out injured in this tournament. His wins were crazy good. He had a win over Onosato. Obviously, he beat the Ozeki Kotozakura. But then, like, these losses, man, he lost to Daisha, who didn't have a great tournament. He lost to Aonishiki. He lost to Takayasu. He lost to Kirishima, all these kind of things. So I am curious, is it more likely that Hakunofuji is Sonyaku in 2020, January of 2027? Or is it more likely that Aonishiki is a Yokozuna in January of 2027? So at that point, you've got a
Ooh.
year for Aonishiki to make that run, and you've got a year for Hakunofuji to recover from these injuries. But really, what I'm trying to get at here is Hakunofuji another tragedy of sumo that we've lost to injuries? Like, will he never reach that potential? And then Aonishiki, do you have full confidence that he will push over this? Or will he be the likes of Koto Oshu, who had an incredibly long Ozeki career, the likes of Goeido, the likes of Akayo, these kind of guys who don't make that Yokozuna final move?
I know. I mean, I think not as a downer on Hakunofuji, I got great faith in him, but Aonishiki, I think, has the momentum. I guess I'm all about momentum today. Like,
Yeah.
Aonishiki, I think Aonishiki's gonna be Yokozuna by the beginning of 2027.
I love it. And now just a little bonus question. How soon do you think Aonishiki is a Yokozuna? Do you think it's as early as April, aka he's going to win and do enough in March? Or do you think it takes a little longer?
I think it's gonna take 2 more.
Two
I
more.
don't well, it
Okay.
always 'cause they like to do 2 in a row, don't they?
They like the
Uh,
back to backs, or really, I think they like the back to backs, but I think technically the soft rule is 2 out of 3.
okay,
And and
sure.
and like we saw with Terunofuji, runner-ups can be fine. Terunofuji losing but going 14-1 and losing out to Hakuho, no one in their right mind would argue that that wasn't a Yusho caliber performance. So again, there's still that time. But again, because that's what I'm curious is slow and steady momentum with Aonishiki. How quickly is he going to get to what you and I both want from him, which is that dominant 14-1 Yusho?
Oof, gosh, I don't know. I I mean, I think it'll be summer before he's Yokozuna.
Okay, yeah.
That's
So you
I
think
don't know,
either
July
July
or
or September?
September maybe.
Yeah, okay. I love it. Well, that's all I got, Phil. Thank you for hopping on and joining me. Your mention of summer just made me sad as I look outside, and as you'll notice, I can't even be in my own house without a hat on my bulb dome. But for now, we wait till spring, we wait till March, we wait till the stormy Basho. But thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.